Hello, and welcome to episode 20 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
And this is, like I said, episode 20. It's a milestone.
It is.
I'm pretty proud of us.
20.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. First thing I wanted to talk about is our continuation of our 2022 cookbook challenge. And this week, I was cooking out of a book that I believe Sam picked up at Ollie's. I don't know if you're familiar with Ollie's, but it's like a odd lots sort of store.
Yeah, it's like a Big Lots or Odd Lots store. And yes, I picked this book up not long after we decided to go vegan. And the reason I picked it up is because Ollie's is one of those places where you can get really kind of random and pretty great books.
Yeah, they're good for books.
Very, very inexpensively. And so I just happened to see this when I was in Ollie's one day and picked it up. And the book is called The Vegan Bible.
It's called The Vegan Bible. More than 100 fabulous vegan recipes from appetizers to desserts. The funny thing about this book is nowhere on here does it tell you who contributed to the recipes.
Right.
The book was made in China.
Yeah.
And it does credit a contributing writer, Marilyn Pocius, as a contributing writer.
Okay.
It says most of the photography was taken from Shutterstock and some other things. So I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they bought pictures of the recipes.
I don't know.
So it's kind of a mystery where these recipes came from. And some of the recipes, including the one that I picked for this week, have kind of deceiving names.
Yes.
So this week I picked a recipe, black bean and tempeh wraps. Okay. So this sounds like a cold wrap or a sandwich or something like that. It's basically an enchilada.
They're enchiladas.
Yeah. After I started reading through the recipe, I'm like, oh, well, this is just kind of a simple enchilada recipe. And I followed the recipe to a T because that's part of this challenge is I want to follow these recipes, even though I so wanted to add things to this recipe.
Yes.
I did add one thing, which was salt. I did add a little bit of salt because the recipe did not call for any salt whatsoever. And I'm like, that's just strange.
What were the ingredients in this recipe?
The ingredients in this recipe, if you want to check your pantries and see if you have them, olive oil. I'm not going to give you measurements or anything.
No.
I feel like that's a little bit stealing. I don't want to steal anybody's work.
Just a basic shopping list is cool.
Yeah, so olive oil, chopped onion, green bell pepper, garlic, chili powder, stewed tomatoes, dried oregano, dried coriander, black beans, of course, tempeh, of course, minced onion, black pepper, ground cumin, and 8 6-inch flour tortillas.
Okay.
Now, I only had 10-inch flour tortillas. So that's the only place where I kind of...
Well, it's one of those moments when you make do.
That and adding a little bit of salt are the only places I veered from the recipe. I think they turned out okay. They weren't anything to write home about. I don't think. What did you think about them?
Okay. Well, first of all, my introduction to these enchiladas were that I walked into a kitchen that was full of yummy smells when I came home from work on Monday, and it was just delightful that there were enchiladas ready to be eaten for supper.
So you had a little bit of a different perspective.
Yes, I did. It's like I walk in the door and dinner is made for me, and that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So
yeah,
I was psyched about that, and not only had my lovely wife made enchiladas and a salad, but she had also made vegan, gluten-free peanut butter brownies.
That's right.
So, yeah, she went kind of above and beyond on that one.
I did.
Yeah, you really did. And so, anyway, I'm always going to be very happy with, a meal that kind of just materializes.
Yeah, who isn't?
It's delightful, really delightful.
Yeah.
The smell was fantastic. But you can't go wrong with the smell of onions and peppers and garlic.
Right.
Yeah, it's just impossible to go wrong with that. So the smell was great.
Yeah.
And I thought they looked beautiful when they came out of the pan. They had maintained their shape as very distinct enchiladas.
Yeah.
They hadn't kind of fallen apart into a mush. Which was lovely. And I really enjoyed the enchilada in and of itself. We really haven't done a tempeh enchilada.
No.
We generally will do, black bean and kale enchiladas or something along those lines. So I thought the addition of the tempeh was unusual.
It was a nice textural
but
addition.
It was a really nice textural addition.
Yeah. I think if I were to take this recipe and riff on it, which is what I usually do, I would, first off, the tempeh was not cooked in any way.
Right.
You just dice the tempeh, throw it in with the beans and stuff, and then wrap them up and put them in the oven.
Right.
And top them with the sauce that you make. I would probably have tried to impart a little more flavor into the tempeh itself.
Okay. What would be your methodology for that?
Oh, I would probably dice it and then maybe just saute it in a little olive oil with some chili spices, maybe a little bit of adobo.
That'd be good.
Or something,
Yeah.
Just to kick up the flavor a little bit.
I thought they were plenty flavorful.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, they weren't lacking for flavor.
No, they weren't bland.
No, not at all. I mean, and I liked the fact that I could really taste the peppers and onions.
Yeah.
And the sauce had a really nice, fresh
yeah,
tasting tomato base.
It certainly wasn't like your typical enchilada. It wasn't as rich as a typical enchilada sauce.
No, it was much lighter.
Yeah, it was definitely more fresh tasting, more like fresh tomato tasting. So I didn't mind that so much.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, and I'd like to tell anybody who's listening out there, Christine is terribly, terribly critical of her own cooking. It does not matter what she makes. And no, seriously though, and she thinks she's not being critical, but it's very odd because she can make something absolutely gorgeous that I am just oohing and awing over and like, oh my God, this is one of the best things you've ever made. And she's like, I don't know, it's okay.
Well, it's not that I'm being critical, it's that I'm always looking for ways to improve a recipe.
Sure.
So when it's a cookbook recipe like this, I'm always thinking, what else would I have done to improve this recipe?
Right.
I served it with a little like wild rice on the side, and that was good.
Yes, the rice was very good.
Yeah, and I think this is a great beginner vegan cookbook because the recipes are quite simple.
Right. And nothing too terribly challenging.
They're not. Not only are they not very challenging, they don't require like hard to find ingredients and stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's a definite plus for sure.
Yeah. So I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate this recipe a solid 7.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I think I would put it there as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that does. That seems fair.
I can't really tell you where you can get this cookbook because, like I said, we got it at Ollie's, but
it was a couple of years ago, so
yeah. So I don't know if it's still
might not be readily available.
I don't know if it's still available, and I don't know if there's multiple cookbooks out there called the Vegan Bible. For some reason, I think there might be.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
But I will include a picture of the book in our graphics when I make posts about this episode, and so if you want to like Google it and see if you can find this same cookbook if you're a beginner vegan. Or if you're just looking for some quick, because a lot of the recipes in here also don't take a whole lot of time.
Right.
So that's also good.
Yeah. So, this recipe that Christine used would be a solid weeknight recipe.
Yeah, it didn't take me that long.
Long.
It didn't take me that long to prepare it at all.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Totally cool.
Yeah. That's why I had time to make vegan brownies.
That's right.
So,
which
rice.
Were awesome.
Yeah, they were pretty good. I mean, come on, chocolate and peanut butter.
Again, can't go wrong.
Nope. One of my favorite combinations.
Not possible.
So that's our recipe for the week.
Yes.
Tune in next week for our next recipe, which I do not know at this point. I have a few in mind, but I have not, again, narrowed it down. So.
Well, I think that's good. I like the element of surprise.
Yeah. Even I'm surprised.
Yes, I like the element of surprise because then I get to come in from work and see what she's made and go, ooh, is this the recipe of the week?
Yeah.
Or is this just dinner?
Yeah. But it's definitely helping me to stay on track with this resolution of cooking out of a cookbook.
Yeah, I think
that's
it's awesome.
The best part of all this for me anyway.
Absolutely. I think it's awesome because no matter what the outcome of any of the recipes, it's going to inspire your own cooking, like your own creative juices.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the kitchen, which is always a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get in ruts, of cooking
for sure.
the same thing over and over again.
Yep.
So,
Well, before we move on from recipes, I do have to say that, in addition to making some very nice tempeh enchiladas and some, frankly, amazing chocolate peanut butter brownies, your triumph of this week was easily your lasagna.
Oh, yeah. I also made a vegan lasagna.
Yes.
We had some family up this weekend, and I made a vegan lasagna for them, and it turned out really well.
Yeah. Now, Christine makes some of the best lasagna out there just in general. I remember the very, very first time she met my family almost 15 years ago.
Yeah.
She made like a 40-pound lasagna. This thing was huge.
I didn't know. Sam invited me to her house for like kind of like a Christmas open house kind of thing, and her family and some other people, neighbors or whatever. I had no idea how many people were going to be here. And you couldn't really tell me. I'm like, so how many people?
Sure.
And you're like, I'm really not sure. So I'm like, well, I better make a 40-pound lasagna.
Yeah, and this thing was just massive. Huge. I've never.
Yeah, I made it in like an industrial kitchen size lasagna pan, like what you would see in a school cafeteria. I had a couple of those. And so I made it in there, and I think it took maybe 4 hours to cook.
It did. It did. It took forever.
I know.
It took forever to cook, but it was so good.
Yeah.
But this one, ever since we went vegan, Christine's been experimenting with variations on a theme and trying to get the proportions of vegetables to noodles to cheese to, vegan cheese, of course. But
yeah, well, that's been it's the vegan cheese thing that has, if I feel like one of my lasagnas has failed, it's the cheese. I've either put too much cheese or I didn't like the cheese that I chose to use. But I think I finally have that ratio down, because there's something texturally about vegan cheese once it gets really melty. If there's too much, it almost gets it's gooey, and not in a good way. It's almost like glutinous gooey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a textural thing, but I think I've finally cracked the code.
Well, whatever you did to crack the code on this particular lasagna, it was one of your best lasagnas.
Yay.
So yeah, I could not stop eating it.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on from that. Do you have any other food you want to talk about? Oh, we should talk about my sister made. This was a good weekend for vegan food.
Oh, we also have to talk about our cinnamon roll comparison.
Oh, yeah, there's that too. So my sister it was my brother-in-law's birthday, and she made enchiladas, and she made a big tray of vegan enchiladas, and they were fantastic.
They really were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really were. They had this rich, smoky flavor.
Yeah.
Like it really imitated, not imitated, but replicated a true mole.
Yeah.
Absolutely delicious. I think she used maybe Beyond.
Yeah, she did say she used vegan meat, but I forgot to ask her.
It tasted Beyond to me.
Yeah.
So that's where I would go. But yeah, but it really had a similar taste and texture to a classic enchilada. It was pretty impressive.
They were delicious.
They were really good, and we fortunately have them. We have the leftovers in our fridge right now.
She gave us all the leftovers. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law made his famous Mexican rice and refried beans.
Yep. The rice was spectacular.
Yes. My brother-in-law is of Mexican descent, so
yeah,
he knows what he's doing.
He does. Absolutely does.
Yeah. So it was a delicious meal.
It really, really was a fantastic meal.
So many thanks to my sister.
Yep.
For that delicious meal.
Thanks, Easter.
Yes, thanks, Easter. Okay. So we want to talk about the comparison that we did on the cinnamon rolls?
Yeah. So if you'll remember, around Christmas time, we mentioned that one of my family's traditions back from when I was a kid was to have Pillsbury cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning. And that this year, instead of making cinnamon rolls from scratch, we were going to try the vegan varieties of canned cinnamon rolls that replicate the Pillsbury model.
Right.
So anyway, we at Christmas time had only one brand that we tried, and that was the Immaculate cinnamon rolls, and they were delicious.
Yeah,
and
they were good.
We didn't have another cinnamon roll to compare them to.
Right.
Right. So just this past weekend when we had some visitors up, we made cinnamon rolls for breakfast, and we had one package of the Immaculate Cinnamon Rolls that we had at Christmas, and one package of Trader Joe's cinnamon rolls, which happen to be accidentally vegan. They're not purposefully vegan, but they are.
Right.
So we tried those out, and I don't know how you felt about them, but for me, there was a clear winner.
I don't think I can really judge because the first one I had was the Trader Joe's. Mm-hmm. And it was really good. And it was right when it was out of the oven. And I didn't try the other one until it was cold.
Right.
So that's a huge difference.
It is a huge difference.
So I think I'm out of the judging.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, for me, Immaculate was the clear winner.
Right.
Like there wasn't even really a contest. Now, this is not to say that the Trader Joe's weren't good.
Right.
They were. They were quite good. But there was something about the combination of flavors within the Immaculate Cinnamon Roll. It was like the dough was not quite as sweet.
Okay.
The cinnamon was a little bit more bumped up. Like it was seriously
It did seem like there
cinnamony.
was more cinnamon in them.
Lots of cinnamon. And then the frosting on the Immaculate ones had, instead of being just a pure sugar frosting, had a hint of vanilla in it, which kind of offset some of the sweetness from within the dough.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't quite as overpoweringly just sweet as the Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
So, so far in our quest to find fantastic vegan cinnamon rolls, Immaculate is winning all the way.
Now, have we tried the Annie's ones? For some reason, I think we did.
We have.
But I can't really remember.
I can't remember either.
Yeah. So, I can't judge because I had the Trader Joe's ones when they were warm out of the oven and it was delicious. Mm-hmm. And then I tried the other ones and it was cold and they were good. But I, of course, preferred the Trader Joe's one. But I think it's just because it was warm.
Because it was warm and gooey.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. You can't compare a warm cinnamon roll to a cold cinnamon roll. It's just, they're not the same thing.
It's night and day.
Completely.
Really. Yeah.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
All right. Do you want to move away from food and talk about what you've been up to, or?
Oh, well, you make it sound so secretive.
Well, no, we already talked about it in last week's episode, but do you want to expound?
Sure, I can expound a little bit. So last week's show, we let y'all know that I've been doing some audiobook production, which has been a whole lot of fun, and that I had just finished recording a book called Confessions of an Animal Rights Terrorist, which was written by Canadian politician and activist Karen Levinson. And at the time of that announcement, I couldn't tell you what the release date of the audiobook was, but I can now tell you that it has been released.
Yes.
Yes. It is now available on Amazon and Audible.
Yes, so look for it. It's a brilliantly written book.
It really is. And Christine hasn't even listened to it yet. And
no, but I've heard enough.
You've heard bits and pieces.
Portions of it that I know I'm going to enjoy listening to it. So if you don't get enough of the dulcet tones of Sam's voice on the podcast, not that your voice is really dulcet, I would say the more soothing and calming tones of Sam's voice on the podcast. Pick up this book and spend a couple of hours listening to her talk to you about the Confessions of an Animal Rights Activist.
Terrorist.
There
you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and also as an incentive to get some fantastic listener out there to hit that $50 contribution level to our Mockingbird Farms fundraiser, we're going to add a free copy.
Yeah, we're sweetening the deal.
So if you were to donate $50 to our Mockingbird Farm the fundraiser,
the first $50 donor.
First $50 donor to the Mockingbird Farm campaign through our Buy Me a Coffee site. Yes, will receive not only a limited edition Compassion and Cucumbers t-shirt, but will also receive a promo code for a free copy of the audiobook Confessions of an Animal Rights Terrorist.
Through Audible, correct?
Through Audible,
okay.
Yes.
Great. Yes. That's absolutely a sweet deal.
It is a sweet deal.
I might just do it myself.
Well, no, that's beside the point.
No, I'm kidding.
It's totally beside the point.
I might just pick that up myself.
Yeah, right? And also I'm excited to say that there will be another audiobook coming out probably within the next 2 weeks. I'm in the recording phases on this one right now.
Yeah, and what's that one titled?
It's titled Peace to All Beings, Veggie Soup for the Chicken's Soul.
Oh, nice.
Yes, it's really lovely. I've been having a wonderful time recording this book. It's very inspirational. I'm finding it really empowering, actually. It deals a lot with the concept of nonviolence as a spiritual guidepost, and how it is kind of a central, what's the word I'm looking for? Central tenet of most major religions.
Right.
And that you can find it anywhere. And
Ahimsa.
Oh, yes. We're talking about ahimsa.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a big way. So the concept of not doing harm to others and making sure that that concept is not only applied to humans, but applied to our animal brothers and sisters.
All creatures of the earth.
All creatures of the earth.
Yeah.
And the environment as a whole. And
yeah.
So it's been really wonderful. And so I'm about halfway through the recording process, and editing will get started tomorrow. And so I'm assuming I might have the book fully recorded and mostly edited by the end of the week.
Right.
So
now, is this also a book through Lantern Publishing?
It is also a book through Lantern Publishing. So both Confessions of an Animal Rights Terrorist and Peace to All Beings, which is written by Judy Carman, by the way, Carman, are both published by Lantern Publishing in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, yay Lantern Publishing. If you're not familiar with Lantern Publishing, they do publish a lot of books in this vein, a lot of human rights stuff, and they have a lot of good stuff out there. So
yeah, I mean, I know I'm sincerely hoping that I'll get to work with them again, because I just love the titles that they're putting out.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's something about their catalog that resonates with me in a really deep way.
I like where their focus is.
Absolutely, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right in our
wheelhouse.
Right in our wheelhouse,
as my brother would say.
In our bailiwick. And that is your Webster's Dictionary word of the day.
Bob's your uncle.
And Bob's your uncle. Gotta sneak that in.
Gotta sneak that in. Yes. So I will definitely let you know when that one becomes available. But as of this moment, you can get your ears on Confessions of an Animal Rights Terrorist, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I do too. And I hahaven't even listened to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just do it.
It's a good listen.
Just do it.
It's a really good listen.
And let us know. I would love feedback from people that if you're going to reach out and listen to that book, I want to hear what other people have to say about it, because it seems like it's just a fantastic book.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the kind of thing, like, if you do want to, let us know of your opinion of the book, not only can you reach out to us at our email, compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
you can DM
also, you can always leave a review on either Amazon.com or Audible.com.
Oh, yeah.
And that actually really helps those of us who are producing audiobooks to increase audiobook sales.
Yeah, it helps the visibility a lot.
It helps the visibility of a title for it to be reviewed. So if you're feeling that, go for it. It'd be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. I wanted to talk about a couple of other things that were in vegan news recently.
Bring on the vegan news.
And unfortunately, not a lot of it is good. I mean, I go out there, I look for feel-good stories because, I'd rather bring good. There's enough bad news in the world.
This is true.
There really is. And it's funny. I wanted to talk about Veg News put out this really fun article about what Girl Scout cookies are vegan.
Yes.
And in what areas they're vegan, because Girl Scout cookies are produced actually, I guess, by two different baking companies. Depending on what part of the world, the country you're in. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm going to talk about this. I want to let everybody know which Girl Scout cookies they could be buying. And then Food Empowerment Project posted an article that talked about how the baking companies that are supplying the palm oil to the Girl Scout cookies, it's bad. Very bad. We're talking child labor laws, bad.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
And yes, so this is this information we are getting from an AP investigation, and I'm actually looking at the results of that investigation on headlinehealth.com. And so what they've discovered is that they're estimating that approximately 33,000 children in Indonesia and Malaysia are working in pretty horrific conditions alongside their parents, processing and harvesting palm oil that goes into not only Girl Scout cookies, but into many products that wind up on our grocery store shelves. And this is not sustainably harvested palm oil. So it is not certified in any way. Obviously, anything where child labor is involved would never be certified as sustainable.
Yeah.
Most of these children earn little or no money. They're exposed to toxic chemicals and other dangerous work conditions. Many of them do not go to school. They do not learn to read and write. There have been reports of children being smuggled across borders and being sold into slavery or sexual trafficking.
Yeah.
So it's really quite an awful situation.
Horrific.
It's horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know a lot of the times on this show, we talk about the food we've been eating and the food that we want to promote and the food that we'd love to hear from you if you're trying it. This time around, though, we have several things that we're kind of steering away from.
Yeah, it's disheartening.
It really
least.
is. And it's just a reminder, I think, and I think it's a good reminder, really, because I have a colleague at work who has a couple of daughters, and I have bought Girl Scout cookies from her in the past. I won't do so again, given what I know now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this, discovering this article, which, by the way, the investigation was kicked off by an 11-year-old girl in Tennessee. Where did her name go?
She's a Girl Scout.
She is a Girl Scout.
Yeah.
And her name is Olivia Chafin.
Yeah.
And so I just want to give some serious props to Olivia for being such an aware and present young woman and really doing the research that was required to find out what was going into the cookies that she was selling.
Yeah.
And since she did her own investigation and got AP started hot on the trail, she has since stopped selling Girl Scout cookies, as have a number of her friends. And she's done letter writing campaigns to the folks that she used to sell Girl Scout cookies to. And they, in solidarity with her choice not to support a company that utilizes child labor, have, instead of buying cookies, have just donated money to the Girl Scout troop.
That's great.
So it's pretty awesome. And it just goes to show that, one determined person really can make change in the world.
Yeah. Kudos to that little girl.
Yes.
Oh my
go
God.
Olivia.
Yeah. What I read was she definitely likes to be informed, and was reading the ingredients on these cookies that she was selling because she wanted to make sure she wasn't selling something that was bad, and actually was aware of the plight of the palm oil workers, and saw because I guess somewhere on the packaging it says sustainable palm oil, and then buried in the ingredients it says mixed, parenthetically. And so she Googled what that means, and so what that means is, sure, they use some sustainable palm oil, and then they buy tons of this not sustainable and child labor ridden palm oil at, I'm sure, a lot cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they mix it together.
Yeah, and apparently if palm oil on any product is marked as mixed palm oil, as little as 1% of the palm oil can be sustainable, and they can still put word sustainable
on it. That law needs to change
on the packaging.
Yeah, so it should be the other way around.
It really should. Yeah, it would need to be 99% sustainable and 1% non-sustainable.
Absolutely.
At worst.
Absolutely. The food labeling laws are
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I was just going to say that I think this is a good reminder, because, I think we think of ourselves as really quite mindful people.
Right.
And we put a lot of effort into making sure, what we purchase is sustainable, is non-GMO, is ethically sourced.
Right.
Is, we do a lot of research into the things that we buy, so just a reminder that we need to make sure to continue that.
Yeah.
And so just because something is vegan does not necessarily mean it's something we want to endorse in any way, shape,
Absolutely.
or form. So
and I know a lot of you are the same way. You're trying to remain true to your ethics when you're voting with your dollars. If you want help with that, definitely check out the Food Empowerment Project.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Their Instagram page, they're constantly linking to articles about things like this. And they really do the work for you to help us all stay informed about this kind of stuff going on.
Right. So, yeah, I think we, if we were to put our opinion out into the world, we would say, let's steer away from the Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, I hate to say it.
Yeah.
I was going to do a nice fun thing on which Girl Scout cookies you should buy. And now the answer is don't.
Don't.
Yeah.
Yes, very simply, don't. I mean, I admit I was pleasantly surprised when I found out a couple of years ago that some of the Girl Scout cookies were accidentally vegan. And
some are.
Yeah, some are. But no longer. So, so we're going to give a thumbs down to the Girl Scout cookies.
Yes, they get 2 thumbs down.
They get 2 thumbs down. And, it'll be interesting to see.
2 forks down.
2 forks down. And it'll be interesting to see how that resolves, to see if the companies that produce those cookies
see if they react to
make any changes
Yeah.
In their supply lines.
Yeah, let's hope they do.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. So on to the next bit of disappointing news. Beyond Meat has recently partnered with Pepsico. That's right. Pepsico. It might as well be, I don't know, pick some evil movie character. They may as well be partnering with Voldemort to make a vegan beef jerky. Yeah. So what they're doing is they're supplying all their knowledge as far as making vegan products and all that. And PepsiCo is supplying the distributing. Now that is a huge distribution network.
Massive.
I can understand from a business standpoint why the people at Beyond Meat think that this is a huge win for them.
Right.
That they're going to get their product in a lot more people's hands. But now they've partnered with Voldemort. PepsiCo and along with Coca-Cola are 2 of the biggest world polluters.
Yes, they are.
It's just they buy water. They buy public water supplies.
Yes.
So that they can fill bottles with water and sell it to people for $3 a bottle. And then those bottles end up in the ocean.
Correct.
So I'm going to be steering clear, I think, of some Beyond products for a while. I mean, I think Beyond needs to know that while we appreciate what they're doing for the, vegan meat market, don't really appreciate them hooking up with PepsiCo.
No, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be steering clear of Beyond for a while, to see how and where that goes. If that partnership remains or, what comes of it.
The funny thing is about this story, which is pretty much everywhere now, it got accidentally leaked by a food blogger, somebody that had some inside information, and they had packaging or something like that, and they accidentally leaked it.
Oh.
So well, Beyond Meat, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing to me, man?
Well, I mean, that bears the question, though. Okay, yes, PepsiCo is one of the big global polluters, and you wouldn't want a company like Beyond, which up to this point has seemed to be a pretty upstanding, ethical company. You wouldn't really want that partnership with the ginormous PepsiCo.
Right.
But, maybe does that potentially indicate PepsiCo's willingness to change some of their practices? Maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to be a little optimistic here.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I mean, I suppose we could hope.
Yeah.
Just like we hope that the people making Girl Scout cookies are going to try and ethically source their palm oil from now on.
Yeah, that would be a really good thing.
I don't have a whole lot of hope for that happening.
Yeah.
So Beyond Meat tweeted out, Beyond Meat and PepsiCo are joining forces to inspire positive choices for both people and the planet. I find that
hard to believe.
Terribly hypocritical. Terribly hypocritical.
I don't know. I think I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. So I think it depends on the way you look at it. I mean, wouldn't you?
I know you can say, oh, so one of the most evil polluters in the world is partnering with a vegan meat company. So are they changing? I mean, my thought process on it is no, they're like, hey, this vegan meat trend is big.
We want part of it.
How do we get into it?
Right.
How do we get our piece of the pie?
Yes.
I don't think it's not going to
drastically change PepsiCo's business model.
It's not going to change their business model. It's not going to reduce the amount of plastic they're putting into the world. I don't know. I think it's just them trying to get a piece of the pie.
Okay. You've crushed my optimistic take on this.
I'm sorry, did I crush your spirit?
Well, no, never. But yeah, I'll concede the point. Let's just put it that way. I'll concede the point. Yes, you're probably right.
Okay. So on that note, our next bit of disappointing news in the world of vegan food and vegan food producers is Amy's.
Yes.
You want to talk about Amy's?
I'll talk about Amy's. So here in our part of the United States, Amy's is one of the few vegan, well, they're not fully vegan, but they're one of the few vegetarian and health conscious kind of sort of brands that we can rely on finding.
Right.
It's pretty pervasive.
It was, I think they were one of the first, big.
One of the first
vegetarian brands out there.
Yes, absolutely. And so we can generally find Amy's products pretty easily around here, even though, we don't live in a metropolitan area.
Right.
So we've long been fans of Amy's. Pre-veganism, I absolutely loved their rice macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, and some of their frozen pizzas.
So good. Some of the frozen pizzas are really good.
Yeah.
There's a no cheese vegetable pizza that we both really love.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be partaking of those in any time in the near future. Amy's Kitchen is involved in a labor dispute right now for dangerous labor practices in their Santa Rosa production plant out in California. And the issues at hand are inadequate equipment or faulty equipment, the repetitive movement and the speed at which workers are asked to make various food items, the lack of bathroom breaks, the lack of potable water, the lack of
access to fire exits,
all kinds of things. So lots of OSHA violations right there. And so we were really disappointed to hear about this. I was also completely floored, and this really kind of opened my eyes. All right, so thinking about someone working on an assembly line in one of these companies. Yeah, I mean, you look at the packaging for an Amy's product and you kind of go, okay, yeah, this is a responsible company. This is, someone I've been buying from for a long time. It's a brand that I trust. They're doing a lot of things right. Great, fabulous. And then I read in the article that I was perusing about this incident or this issue, and workers, this is a quote, workers are expected to roll 10 to 12 burritos per minute.
Per minute, yeah.
Per minute.
Yeah.
That's maximum 5 seconds per burrito.
Right. Okay, well,
I can't even fathom that.
Yeah. A lot of the process is automated and they're doing whatever the final, I'm sure that mechanically the things are being filled and then they wrap them or whatever.
But still.
No, but as somebody that worked in a production-based field for a long time, that doesn't sound super insane to me. It's a lot.
Well,
don't get me wrong.
Okay, does this, so maybe the 10 to 12 burritos doesn't sound insane to you?
This next figure is a bit crazy.
What about the 72 plated dishes per minute?
That's insane.
That's less than a second, substantially less than a second per plate.
Per plate, yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I have.
That's a stressful production line.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, just thinking about that, I get stressed.
Yeah.
Like seriously, I've never worked on a production line or in a production based industry,
right,
in any way, but I just can't imagine that. I really can't.
Yeah.
Like that's nuts.
It is nuts. And so, so the workers are complaining about repetitive emotion injuries and stuff like that, which are to be expected in that field.
Absolutely.
But if the company's not doing things to address them,
right,
and they're talking about egress issues where people don't have access to escape if there's a fire or something, and we all know what happened like to the Amazon building when that storm went through, and it just like there was obviously no safety. No safety in mind for those people at all.
Right.
It just seems to be, it's becoming a trend now that, unions need to happen everywhere now. Yeah. They need to unionize. Because it seems that companies are definitely taking advantage of their workers.
Right.
But
so, I mean, I just know for me to hear of this from a brand that, like I said, we've purchased from for a long time and we have trusted and all of that. So to hear that there are these kinds of issues in their production line is really disappointing.
It's very sad.
Really sad.
Yeah.
So, we'll be, again, steering clear. Three things we're steering clear of right now.
Right off the top.
Right off the top. That's crazy.
Can't buy any Kellogg's products.
Oh, well.
And that... Kellogg's, that's a lot of products.
A lot of products.
They own a lot of companies. Not, even things that don't say Kellogg, like Morningstar Farms, for instance, is owned by Kellogg's. So you really have to do your due diligence anymore.
You do.
To buy ethically.
Yes.
It shouldn't be this hard. It really shouldn't be this hard. You should be able to go to the grocery store and buy food and not fear that some little kid is not learning to read and write because you bought Girl Scout cookies. It's insane to me.
It is.
What's happening.
You're absolutely correct. Welcome to the capitalist Western
I'm mad as
world.
hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Well, all right then.
Yeah. So you got to do your due diligence. And like I said, and I'll say it again, reach out to Food Empowerment Project, reach out to their website, reach out to their Instagram, follow the articles that they're posting because they're on top of it.
Yes, they are.
They're always on top of it. I guess that's all we can do is try and educate ourselves so that we're not becoming part of the problem.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So sorry to be such a downer this week.
Well, we can't pretend that everything in the world is happy, happy, joy, joy all the time.
We can't.
We just can't. I mean, yes, I know that the intent of this podcast is really to make veganism accessible and...
Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like it's harder than it needs to be, It's just food, just eating in general.
Okay, but hang on, whoa. What? Life is harder than it needs to be. If we're gonna wax philosophical here, life is harder than it needs to be, and most of the time it's of our own doing.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind.
But I also had this other article I wanted to talk about, which was kind of on the fun side about accidentally vegan cookies in general.
Right.
But now I'm like, I can tell you about all these cookies, but do your research because I don't know how many of them are ethically sourced.
Absolutely.
Like Oreos and JoJo's and Nutter Butters. They're all accidentally vegan. Fig Newtons, all accidentally vegan. Fig Newtons are a Nabisco product. I don't know. I think they are. But you have to do your research.
So are Oreos.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that.
I don't know. Do we want to do It's getting to the point where I need like a 3-ring binder of companies that I'm not supposed to be buying food from. And that's terrible. But I guess what that tells you is just even fruits and vegetables, I guess, you have to watch where they're being purchased from.
Yeah.
Because there's bad farming practices and stuff, and the farmers are being treated poorly. But I guess maybe it points you towards more whole foods, because at least it takes less research to discover where your tomato came from. Yeah, because it's on the sticker on the thing, and you can look at it. But.
Well, and because also, with a tomato, you're not sourcing dozens of ingredients like you are in a processed product like
all you really have to
Girl
worry
Scout cookie.
All you really have to worry about are their farming practices, where it's coming from.
Exactly.
Or I guess you have to worry about that, and if it's being trucked, those people, how are they being treated?
Right. Well, I mean, there's yes, absolutely.
It's terrible.
It's a complicated world. There's no question about it.
I just want to start a commune. Grow our own food.
Let's do it. I'm in.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like your brother once said, it must be exhausting to have so many causes that you worry about.
Oh, right. Yeah. My brother did once tell us that as we were talking about one of the many things that we care about. And he's like, it must be really exhausting to care about so many things.
Right. And I was thinking, well, it must be nice not to care.
Well, no, I mean, and the thing is let's not diss my brother. He's a great guy.
No, he was being tongue in cheek.
He was being tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Yes, that we always have something to say about something that's going on or happening. So
right,
yeah, but and yeah, sure it is, but always remembering that we're not striving for perfection, and we can't expect perfection.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all just need to do the best that we can.
That's right. Give me some uplifting words. I feel like I brought myself down.
Why'd you do that?
I don't know. I'm a real buzzkill. I'm feeling all depressed about it now.
Well, no, don't feel depressed about it. I mean, just let it kind of, firm up your resolve.
Yeah, I guess so.
To say, okay, guess what? It turns out that maybe some things that I thought were okay aren't okay. And I need to recalibrate and make sure that when I'm trying a new product or even indulging in something that I thought was okay.
Yeah.
I need to do my homework.
Yeah. I feel like I need to like befriend somebody on the board of food empowerment, and so I can have them in my speed dial. And when I'm like shopping, I can just call them up.
Oh my gosh.
And go, hey, what about this product? You got any bad news about this?
Oh my gosh. That would be incredible if the food empowerment project had a hotline.
If they don't already, I mean, I know they have the chocolate list.
Yes, they do.
That they're always,
which is brilliant,
always adding to, so you can make sure that the chocolate that you're buying is ethically sourced. But it would be really cool if there was some kind of hotline out there somewhere where you could just in the grocery store, it could be like almost like a personal ethical shopper.
Yeah,
that you could keep on the phone while you're shopping.
Okay, I think you've just created a new career.
With technology, it would be so easy, right? Like to scan the barcodes, and it should tell them like exactly what the product is, exactly what the ingredients are,
where it came
from, and all that jazz. And then somebody would have to develop the software that would, run the diagnostics on that.
Well, of course,
and be able to in real time tell you put that back on the shelf. Mm-hmm. You don't support that product,
right?
Or throw that in your cart. That's a great company, and they're doing great things.
Right. That would be so cool. I think you have just created a new field.
Well, I'm too old to start something new. So anybody out there that wants to fly with that idea, it's free for the taking. Just credit me somewhere
to become a personal ethical shopper.
Right.
That's so great.
And it might already, I don't know. It seems like every idea that people think of, it already exists out there somewhere. So maybe it does already exist out there somewhere.
Anybody out there know of any personal ethical shoppers?
Let us know if you've heard of anything like that.
Because that's super cool.
It would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that idea.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all I really have to talk about this week. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I don't think so. But didn't you want to mention Ricky Gervais?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's kind of a happy thing. We'll end on that.
Just that Ricky Gervais is vegan?
Yeah, big news. Ricky Gervais said he was vegan in an interview on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. They were playing one of Jimmy Fallon's many, many games what did he call the game? Ricky Gervais tells it if it's true or something. So I mean,
decides it or something like that.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais decides it, and he just asked him questions, and one of the questions he asked him was, if you were a cannibal,
who would you eat?
Who would you eat? And Ricky Gervais's response was, well, I'm vegan, so that would be a problem.
Right.
And they went on to talk about how he should want to eat Paul
McCartney because Paul McCartney is vegan, because of course, eating a vegan would be preferable to eating an omnivore.
Yeah. And Ricky Gervais's response to that was, no, like eating a cow is not right, and cows are vegan. So anyway, a lot of people picked up on that, and a cool thing was the audience cheered.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw the YouTube clip, and it was really very cool that when he announced that he was vegan, that there were hoots and hollers and applause from the audience. So that's really great.
And he's a funny guy. I like him. I like him a lot. So there's some good news. We ended on a good news note.
We did.
Yay.
All right.
I'm just going to wrap things up. Email us if you want more details on my personal ethical shopper idea. I'm willing to draft a business plan for you for a minimal fee of a couple of ethically sourced cookies.
Yes, or $50 towards the Mockingbird Farm
That'll work too.
Fundraiser through our Buy Me a Coffee site, which you can find at buymeacoffee.com/cucumbers.
Cucumbers, yep.
And again, if you are that first $50 donor, we're not going to let up on this, friends.
We're just going to keep piling on prizes.
Keep piling on prizes until somebody
throws
somebody cracks
$50 into that. Don't get me wrong, we do have donations, and thank you very much for the people that have already donated. But we're waiting for that first $50 donation.
That's right. So just remember, right now, what's in the kitty is a limited edition Compassion and Cucumbers t-shirt and your very own promo code for a free copy of the audiobook, Confessions of an Animal Rights Terrorist, written by Karen Levinson and narrated by yours truly,
Sam Kenny.
That's right. That's me.
In case you forgot your name.
I didn't.
So that's that. Yeah. So did I give our email address? compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com.
There you go.
It's pretty simple. Or you can reach me on Facebook or Instagram. DM me. I'm pretty responsive, at least within the day. I will respond to any questions or comments. Or
she is our social media maven.
Yeah. You want to tell me a joke? That'd be great. Lift my spirits after all this bad news. That would be awesome. Okay. So we'll catch you next week for a new recipe out of our cookbook challenge, and probably a lot of other fun things. I'm going to make sure next week's show is a little lighter than this one.
All right.
I'm going to do my darndest.
We're going to do light and fun?
Yep, light and fun.
Light and fun's good. I like it.
All right. So until then, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye-bye. If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/cucumbers and buy us a cup of coffee. Thanks so much for listening and for supporting us in what we're doing. We're really having a good time with it.